Welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Rook along with Randy Martinson with Martinson Ag. Just about everything is higher this morning except for live cattle futures. And Randy, let's talk about the grains first because everything is seeing some good gains this morning led by the wheat market. And certainly there is some concerns here about the Black Sea grain initiative. So we're putting in some more premium, you think?
I think so. I mean, of course, Friday's report, I think, is still seeing a little bit of spillover support to the market as well. But, the news over the weekend, the Black Sea talks broke down, no progress being made, and there is no meeting set up between now and the 18th when when the agreement is supposed to, expire. So it does look like that it's not likely that there's going to be any kind of a deal to extend the current Black Sea grain initiative.
That's right. And as you mentioned, the WASD on Friday was positive in terms of winter wheat production coming in below expectations. And now we have the Kansas wheat tour this week. So do you think we'll get confirmation of that smaller crop?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's what they're going to be looking for when they're touring across Kansas just to see what the abandonment's going to be. And that's really where the change came from USDA's numbers, is the abandonment being up to a little bit more than anticipated, yields being dropped. And it'll be interesting to also see, I know they'll do a little bit of surveying in both Colorado and in Oklahoma as well. So it'll be interesting to see what little news we do see on those two. But it does look like most of the rain is going to be too late for the winter wheat crop, and we're going to continue to see that crop shrink as far as size.
Yeah, and abandonment, I think USDA said, is the highest since 1917 is the last time we had this large of amount that was abandoned.
Oh yeah, and you look at it, for the most part, it's somewhere between 17 to 20%, and this year coming in at right now at 33%. That certainly is going to trim your production, and it's it's understandable that we're going to see quite a bit of lower production as far as and it's mainly the hard red winter wheat and the white wheat. The soft wheat actually did see a little bit higher production, and then spring wheat right now we're also seeing some struggle because of not being able to get in the field and get plantings going.
Yeah, talk about that because you did get more rain in some of those spring wheat areas over the weekend, right?
We did. Saturday, it rained again pretty much most of the day, and we picked up, for the most part, another inch in most areas. So in the last, for the last 10 days, we picked up close to 4 to 7 inches, depending on where you're at as far as the state is concerned.
How much do you think is not going to get planted?
I'm still hanging my hat on about that 500,000 acres of spring wheat won't get planted. Right now that's kind of what I would expect. The northeast corner where, most of the bushels are, they did have an open weekend, and hopefully, we're looking at a couple of days here where we're supposed to be warm and possibly could get in the field before another system comes through. So we'll get a little bit more wheat planted, a little bit more crop in the ground before the next system knocks us out.
And would corn and soybeans be up this morning if the wheat wasn't seeing those double-digit gains?
I don't think it would. I mean, we've got a little bit of friendly news with our planting concerns, that to help support the corn, and the Black Sea news also helps support corn. But those numbers coming from USDA on Friday for new crop production for corn and for soybeans are awful daunting when you look at those huge numbers.
And it looks like we should have a good week of weather here for planting in much of the Corn Belt. And that's going to be kind of the focus now here that we're past the WASD, right?
It will be. Weather and planting progress are going to be the paramount right now as far as what everybody's going to be watching. And when you look at it, the central and eastern Corn Belt have been seeing good luck. Now, they're supposed to pick up some rains at some point. So, I mean, right now, the drought really isn't becoming a concern. That might start to get to be a little bit more of a talk if we don't see good rains come in by the end of the May.
Okay. Let's talk about technicals here because at least the wheat market has gotten above some of our winter highs here. And how far can we take that? And is that doing anything technically to help corn or soybeans heal?
Well, it is. We've got some spillover there, definitely. But technically now we've retraced about 67% of what our recent high to low loss was in the wheat market. So technically we're going to have to close, like Minneapolis above this 865, 867 area for this to open up to see a little bit further strength in it. So today's going to be an important day for the Minneapolis wheat market, as that's the areas that we're kind of flirting with. Same with Kansas City. Now, Chicago, of course, has been kind of the short side of the spread, so that market will take any kind of strength it can get.
I also want to ask you about commitment of traders report intertwined here with the technicals, because funds are short still in a lot of the wheat sector, and they're even shorter now in the corn, aren't they?
They are. I mean, they extended their short positions here last week, and what happens is that at some point they've got to take their profits and get out of those trades. And if we start seeing a little bit more of a push, that could start the snowball rolling uphill, and we could start to see a little bit more fund short covering, which would mean then we'd start to see a little bit more, a little more buying hit the market, which would help support us.
You bet. So let's move over to the cattle complex. We did have higher weekly closes last week, and both the live cattle and especially in the feeders had a huge up week with the pullback that we've seen recently in the corn market. We're seeing a little bit of correction in live cattle today, but if we cash trade, talk about how important that is, and if we could get even a steady week, do you think we could continue to see the futures expand their uptick?
I think so. I mean, cash is pretty important right now because that's going to be the gauge of where our product movement is. And we've been seeing the boxed beef market go back and forth over the last week as well. So right now we're about to get into the deep, or into the heart of what's going to be the barbecue season. So if we can see cash maintain itself or go higher, that certainly is going to be supportive to the market. We should start to see supplies tighten up, and that should add a little bit of support to the market. But again, that's going to depend on how well the higher priced beef is received on the retail level.
WASD report was actually positive here, looking forward in terms of production, wasn't it? Showing that we're going to see tighter supplies.
It was. I mean, it cuts production, this year, for 23, for 24, and for the following year. So it looks like we've got, the next 3 years, we're seeing decreases as far as beef production is concerned.
Gotcha. And hogs are back up today. I think the big question is, we can get these big one-day rallies, but we get very little follow-through. Do you think we can start to build some momentum here?
Well, we'd like to think so. I mean, that's a market that needs to see some correction. But now with the Proposition 12 being kind of validated in the court system, we might see another downturn in this market, or maybe that's what we've been seeing all this pressure from, is the expectation that's going to happen. But I would expect that we're going to start to see, selling pick up a little bit, supply increase a little bit more. But then I think that should be able to turn the market.
Okay, that's right. We did work that Prop 12 Supreme Court ruling in last week. So we'll see if we can try to shake that off. Thanks so much for joining us, Randy Martinson with Martinson Ag, and that is Markets Now.